Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Cucumber with Python. Is it possible? How do we do it? Yes, it is possible. That was the first answer. And how do we do it? It's quite easy. First of all, if you looked up the documentation on how to use Cucumber, that is behavior-driven development, then you will get a bit disappointed first because then they will actually say, "Hey, look at the behave. Go to another website." Okay. So, of course, we're a little bit disappointed, but if we go to that website, then, of course, we are not disappointed because here we have the behave documentation for Cucumber. And yes, there's a lot of documentation, and yes, it's very boring. So, as usual, try to just get started by guessing your way through it. And the only thing you actually need to know that you cannot guess is how to install what is the name of the Behave plugin and the Behave library. And I will tell you that right now. It is Behave. Yes, it is that simple. You just add the behave to your requirements.txt file. I'm using PyCharm. I would definitely recommend you to do the same thing. You just right-click and then you can say, please install all of the libraries. If they're not installed, you can also easily set up a virtual environment. You can see I have my VN folder right here. It's just so much easier with PyCharm. You save yourself so many commands that you would usually have to go and run in the shell. So use PyCharm. What if I want to use Visual Studio Mic or VS Code? Then use that, and you will waste a bit of your life, but that's okay. Do that. No problem with that. Just as long as you do not get other people to actually use that, then you have not bothered anyone then but yourself, right? So no problem with that. Yes, it is a problem. PyCharm, of course, for this, and create a requirements file that you have right here, requirements.txt file. Make sure that you have set up your project so it uses virtual environment. You can also use Conda, but it's a bit overkill, I would say. It's a bit Conda is it's a heavier dependency management system than virtual inf. I'm actually always using virtual inf because it's so easy and it's so fast, and it's also very easy to debug because you can just go and look in the lib folder. What do you actually already have? All of those dependencies are right there. So it gives a transparency that with Conda you have to kind of learn how to use that Conda. It also has its upside if you're a data scientist, then you can play with that one day. But Mike, let's get to it. How do I create my feature files for PyCharm? Can I use the same syntax as I do with Java? Yes, of course you can. That is the smart thing with this, right? The Cucumber uses Gherkin, so the Gherkin language is the same. In this situation right here, we're showing off behave Cucumber with Python. So this is the feature that we want to do, right? And then we have some scenarios. In this scenario right here, I have some heroes and I have some wives for the heroes, and I have a dark forest, and the hero can go through the dark forest, and the hero can actually bring stuff to actually light up the forest. Of course, it's not. You should be careful in playing with matches, but you can also use a flashlight and stuff like that. So, but we can actually. Here we have a flashlight scenario right here. Of course, right now it says matches, but we will change it so it actually makes sense. So you have your usual Gherkin language right here. You have a scenario where you can type in whatever you want to. That is just for your output report, your test report. What should it say in the end? Then you have your context. So like given a person is in the dark forest with matches. So this is the context. This is the precondition, right? This is where we start. This is our starting point. It could also be, sometimes you would also see when user is a level 4 hero or something like that, that could also be your precondition. So it could be like as a certain type of user. It could also be as an administrator or whatever. If it's an administration tool or something that you're making. It just sets up the context. And then we have the when sentence right here. When we start a fire. Sorry about that. And we drop the fire starter. Oh, I drop it right there. Then it is less dark. So it actually does not make sense. Right now with this sentence right here, let us just skip that one out there. It's because I prepared something that we should go through. So now we have a scenario right here. When we start a fire, then it's less dark. And we still have the matches, right? But Mike, how did you make these? How does Cucumber actually know and behave the behave library? How does that know which Python code to run when you have these steps right here? This is not default. This is something you made up, right? Yes, that is exactly true. So if I hold Control and press one of these, then I'll end up in a file named Cucumber steps forest. And let us just jump to that. Always select the open file. Yes, it should do that. It did that now. Okay, so this is the file right here. And here you can see, here we have some steps. So that means that I'm actually just creating a function, a Python function. So def means define, right, a definition. And here we have the function name, and we use snake case, of course, when it's we use snake case because it is Python, of course. So we have this snake case in our methods right here in our functions. If you have a class, then you would use camel case in a class name, of course. Then we have a context. This is the weird part, or not the weird part. This is what actually makes it a bit different than Java. So in Java, you don't need to have the context with you in each of the methods. Then you would just have a member variable of your class, and then you could actually do something with that. But with Python, you have a context. So that means on this context right here, you can actually add and pretend that you have any property. So that means you can actually say that now you want to define a variable named Firestarter on this context right here, and that is now equal to device, and device is a variable that we have right here, right? And that is the matches in the situation right here. Okay. Yeah, that's actually quite smart, because then first when we set when something, then we're not asserting anything right here, right? And a test is not a test before we actually assert something. The assertion comes later on. So you have the when, you don't have to assert anything there. Then that is where you actually assert something. So when we drop the fire starter, you can actually see when we start a fire, what then happens. Then we set the light level to 5. Okay, so when we start a fire, the light level goes to 5. What was it before that? We actually don't know, but we could actually set it to something if we want to. So to begin with, the light level is 0. So this, again, I'm just setting this variable on the context, and I can invent whatever I want to. So now we have light level 0 to begin with. Then when we start a fire, then the light level will go to 5. When we drop the fire starter, then we set the fire starter to none. So that means then we set it to none, and then it's less dark. What we do right here is that then we just check if the light level is above 2. Of course, we could also have added the light level as a parameter, but right now we just want the light level to be more than 2. And then we have another then step right here. That is, we still have the device. Here we'll check that the fire starter equal to whatever device that we have right here. Okay, so that is cool. That is really, really cool. So here are the steps. Mike, where did you dump those steps? You actually just place them in the test. You just place them in the test folder right here, and I have a features folder right here. This is where I've chosen to place all of my my feature files, and then we have a folder underneath my feature files where I am placing my Python code, which is right here. Of course, you can have you can have as many Python steps, and you can have as many as you want to, and you can also organize them in deeper folder structure, of course, if you want to. I've just named mine steps, so I have my steps in this folder right here, and this is best practice. If you if you bother to read the documentation, then you would see that you should create a folder named features. You should also create one named steps. But of course, as usual with Python, you can actually do whatever you want to. If you want to do something else, then do that. But don't do that, right? Just follow best practice, because then when another developer who is also a behavior-driven developer, he or she also could also be a she, will actually control Z on the last comment there. But he or she will then know how what to do and where your files are actually located, right? So let's get started. So now this is the definition of all of our tests, and I just said we can have as many files as you want to. If you don't know it, if you're a Java developer, then when you have an init.py file, this just means that this is like packages in Java. That means that when you are using one of the classes, if you're using something within this package right here, then this code, if you place some code in init.py file, then this code will actually be run, just so you know. I have another video if you don't know anything about Python and class and package structure, then watch that instead. Okay, so then we go to this feature file, and again, you can create as many feature files as you want to, and now let us try to set up our own scenario right here. So we will create a new one. Scenario. What we want to light something up, but we are kind of prepared it to be a fire. So what should we use to ignite a fire with? Like, it could be a magnifying glass, right? Scenario, use magnifying glass to start fire. So this is our situation, right? And then we say given. So this is our initial situation. This is our context, and here we're given. We say person is in dark forest with magnifying glass, like this, magnifying glass, and then again, of course, then we say when we start a fire, then it is less dark, like this. Let's just try to run this, Control-Shift F10, and it's already green. That was a fast one. There's a lot of output. Of course, if you want to see the green test also, then you can press this button right here. Actually, it ran all of them. Okay, but that's good. That's okay, it ran all of them. But we can just add more stuff right here, and then we can say, and we drop the fire starter. So first when we drop the fire starter. You can only use and if it's also a then sentence right here. And when should you choose when or then? Then is when you assert something. That's when you check something, and that is then. And when, that is when you are trying out something. So when you try out something, then you expect something. You expect a given result, of course. So yeah. So when we drop the fire starter, then. Now we can try to make something that actually is not true. Then we still have the magnifying glass. So we know that this is wrong, right? So now we will run the test again, and we should get an error. Yes. Now we have an error right here because we do not have the magnifying glass still. We just dropped it, right? So what could we do then instead? When we drop the fire starter, instead of that, we can actually say when we pick up wooden sticks, maybe we can use some wooden sticks to actually start a fire. And you can see now there's no step for this. When we pick up wooden sticks, instead of them, we still have the wooden. Then it must be wooden sticks, right? So let us just change that. We need to create the step, and it's very easy if you use PyCharm to create the step. You just press Alt Enter, create step definition. Yes. Do I want to create a new file? No. Just dump it in the existing file, and now it actually created it. And per default, actually, there's something you need to be careful with. It actually creates. First of all, it just erases an exception. That's fine. That's because we have not implemented yet. So we'll just delete that. You have this behave runner context. Yes, that's true. Pick up, so we say context.firestarter equal to, and then not wooden sticks. This should be a variable. So here we would have we pick up a tool. Then we can actually say pick up tool. Then we set it to tool like this. And do I have to use quotes around them? I'm actually not sure about that. Let us just see here. Yeah. Just jump back. Control AE, then you get the latest files, the files that you have latest had open. Let us go to the steps forest. No, that is not what we want to go to the feature file. So let us go to the feature file. Where's my feature? That's my feature file. Okay, let us run this now. So let's see if it's green. So it is now not green. So what does it say? fire starter equals to device wooden sticks. We pick up wooden. I'll just remove the quotes. Yes, now it works. Actually, all of these weird quotes right here, we don't need to have them at all in our syntax. We can just have the variable part just, yeah, it can just be right there. Of course, if you're, yeah, so it can actually just be like this. It can just be like this. I'll place this on my GitHub account as usual, so you can find all the code. There's no need to try to copy paste this while you're watching this cool video right here. So we'll go back to the feature file and let us now see what it says. Now it should complain a lot because we do not want the double quotes any longer. Now we're just typing the variable and it's still green, so it knows what we are trying to do. That's really cool. Okay, Control-Shift F10. And what does it say? It's happy. Let's go Control-Shift F10 on all of them. So yeah, we have 3 green tests now. Cool. Of course, there's a lot of output in the console. That's just something I write, so I'm sure. Let us just see what if we want 2 variables. We pick up tool and eat some, and again, this could be a variable, food. Then we eat some food. Food is right there. Then we can say context dot last eaten equals foods. So now we have that variable also there. There's no problem with that. It just works, so that's fine. So it was just, so we pick up and see now here we get the structure right here. So wooden sticks, we pick up wooden sticks, and then we eat some, what should it be? Lasagna. Yeah, so that is fine. We can still have multiple variables even though we skip the quotes. Yeah, but that's cool. That's really, really good. Let us just run again to see if everything is fine. No, it's not. There's an error right there. What does it say right here? Then we still have the wooden sticks. Let us just make a space right there. Wooden sticks, yes. Now it's green. So that's it. It is so easy, and it's so awesome that we can use behavior-driven development also for our Python code. So when would you create normal in quotes tests instead of using the cucumber tests? I would say that you would always create a unit test. So this is a test that we have right here. So this is a basic unit test that we have right here, and we place that. We go to our test folder, and then you can place it anywhere right here. This is basic tests. So you go and then you create your test, and the way that you extend a class in Python is to write it in round brackets right here, and you have your class, and you have your camel case right there, and then you have your test case right here. So that means that right now we extend test case. And that means that all of these tests right here, all of these functions right here, those are actually tests because they start with test. So let us just run this right here. Control-Shift F10, then this is my test that actually runs. What does it do? The test does not do much, but it defines a hero, for instance, find hero that shoots arrow. Assert false. You have to assert something, and here you call self because you are extending unit test case. So then you can just call on yourself. Then you can call assert false or assert a lot of other stuff. There are so many assertions right there. Look at all these assertions right here. In Java, of course, you're used to using assert j, or you would use j5. And then that means you call your methods on another class, like assertions. But with Python, you call it on self. That is how you do your assertions. Remember, a test is not a test without at least one assertion in your test. And feel free to have multiple assertions, of course. And remember, test code is also code that you need to maintain. So every time you write a test, that is also code that needs to be maintained. That means that if you already have 4 tests, the tests that you can create a new hero, for instance, you don't need a 5th test that do the same. If just because you added one member variable, then you would just adjust and change one of the existing tests to actually also check that one new member variable that you just added. Yeah, just a good tip from the real life. And if you want to skip a unit test, then you can just annotate it with skip, annotate.skip. So that means if it's red, then just skip it. But of course, you will never do that. You will go and fix the test. There's a reason why it suddenly is not that is failing. It was not failing when you took out the code, when you checked out the code. But suddenly now, after you did some changes, now it's failing. And of course, it's very tempting to just skip it. But you should never do that. You should then find the developer, look in the history, Git history, and then you will find the developer who actually made this to begin with, and then you will actually talk together. Then you will communicate with other developers. Yes, try it out. It is actually underrated. Talking to your colleagues, it's It can actually make you smarter if you also listen. Of course, if you just talk without listening, then you probably not get smarter, but maybe your colleague, of course, will be smarter, or maybe you just annoy your colleague. Win-win situation, right? Okay, so enough of this. This was a unit test with Python. It was also a cucumber test that we went through with Python. But Mike, what if we have multiple unit tests cases? Can we bunch those together in a suite? Good question. Yes, we can. Is the question. Is the answer. You just make a function like this, suite. And then you will just create the suite like this, suite, unit test suite, and then you can add all of the tests that you want to have as a suite. And this means that then you can use this for your DevOps system. So your DevOps system, when it runs all the tests, it can just run the suite right here, and then you can choose which test that you want to run all the time. That is usually your unit tests that are fast. If you have any integration tests, maybe you don't want to run those all of the times. And then you have this is just like you're in Java, then you have the static void main, but this is actually a bit different. This actually protects this code from being run from another package. This means that it can only be run from here. So now we run our suites. And yes, it looked fine. Okay. We are happy. Ran tests, 3 tests in almost 0 seconds. That's quite good. So that is it. That is what I want to show you. It was a bit fast, so let me know in the comments if you want me to go a bit slower through some of the test concepts like suites, like assertions, like cucumber tips and tricks, but these are the basic tips and tricks. If you know about the context, then you also know how to use behave for Python. And it's awesome when you first get started. It's a cool tool that will actually help you out. The cool thing about behavior-driven development is that you can actually take your gyros, and then you can take the accept criteria from your gyros, and then you can turn those into cucumber test before you actually write the code. That is behavior-driven development. And then everybody is actually agrees on when you're done with your gyro. It's not like you think that you're done, but whoever the product owner or the business that actually created this gyro, they have another understanding of whether you were done or not. They actually wanted more to be there, and that is why accept criteria are actually very, very good. If you get a gyro without an accept criteria, do not be offended. That no one did this to bother you or to annoy you. You can do 2 things. One thing is that actually to try to just to if you kind of know what was the meaning behind this, then you just write in your own accept criteria. You ping the PO and say, hey, I know that you forgot. You're probably too busy. That's why you forgot to add the accept criteria. I just added them. Just not if you agree. If you don't agree, and if you don't say anything, then I just assume that everything is fine, and that was actually what you meant. That is one. That's one way to handle it. Another way to handle it is a bit more. It can create conflict sometimes. That is just to say that this is not ready for development yet, and then then you will take it out of the Scrum sprint, and then it will come into the next Scrum sprint instead. But that is a bit. It's not that constructive. So try to talk together, and the closer and the closer communication you have with the product owner and also the business and the end users, of course, the better it is. Then you can sort things out on the fly instead of having to go through a process to handle stuff and to reject gyros and all that. It's much easier, and there's always no ahead whenever you change tasks. So focus, get one gyro fix done at a time, and be happy. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye-bye.